Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guest here today, well, first of all, everyone should recognize our guest. We have Maria back on the podcast for the third time now. She was on about 7 months ago to talk about, what she's been up to. And a lot has changed since then. And we can see that, we finally got her in her off-season look. So I feel a little less jealous. I still feel insanely jealous because at that age to look even anything like that is just absolutely insane. But another fun thing, she is a different hair color this time too. She's been a different hair color each time that we've had her on. The first time she was, I think it was like brown, then it was blonde, and now she's red. So, who knows the fourth time we have her on what hair color she's going to be. But,
You should have had me on that with purple. I had it purple one time.
oh, yeah. So maybe that'll be next time. Maybe she'll go back to purple then. But, of course, she's our current guest. Maria, thank you again so much for coming back on.
Thanks for having me again, Ryan. It's always good to see you.
It's always great to talk to you. And, I mean, so much has changed since we last talked, even though it's only been 7 months with COVID and with your bodybuilding. I mean, first of all, give us an update on how you did in your bodybuilding shows, because I think people would be surprised at the results that you got.
Well, Tampa Pro, I came in third, and I was very excited about that. I just like I could told you in the past, I only do this for fun. So if I place, then I feel like I just won the Olympia. And then New York Pro, I thought that I looked better in New York Pro, um, but the girls dwarfed me. I'm always the smallest one there. So, but I had a good time. I always have a good time. So, I had great pictures taken. So, hey, that's enough of me just to be around those girls. And a lot of them went on to, they're going to be in the Olympia next month. So, some of them are really good friends of mine. And so I'm excited for them. In fact, I'm trying to get VIP tickets to go see them. So I put my name on the list because when it was supposed to be held in Las Vegas, and they moved it to Florida. And I didn't really want to go to Vegas. I think it's worse there, the COVID, and Florida it's closer to home. Florida is close to home, so I put our names on the VIP waiting list to get to purchase those tickets. And I'm crossing my fingers that we get to go and support my sisters in arms, because there's like I said, a lot of them that I know quite well. And so it's hard for me to pick which one I like, because I love all of them, and so it'd just be good to be in the audience. And at first, when I took my third, I had points, for the Olympia, but of course you have to do several shows and be ranked up there to get more points to qualify. And but I was just ecstatic to at least see my name on that list as having points, to be in the Olympia list, having points to go there. It's enough for me, really. I always told you I always do this for fun. Of course, you want to win, but I was just ecstatic, and I even got paid for it. So hey, I was the winner. I feel like I was in the at the Olympia. So anyway, it was fun. It's all good times.
What do you think about this last prep really changed things up for you and really got you the results finally? What do you think really mixed things up?
I think well, first of all, it's my coach. Shelby Starnes. He's phenomenal. Oh my God. And I was really. I mean, I'm always focused, but this time I was really determined. And training here in my own basement, in my own gym, um, I had enough time to actually really focus on the body part and like my legs. I've always wanted to improve my legs more, and then my abs. Now my abs, because I did go with Ken Wallet. He's the best coaching coach in the business. Um, so the best posing coach in the business. So I went with him, and if I learned anything from him, is how to display my abs. Where in the past, every time it's time for that ab shot, I cringe, and I'm like, oh my God, it's time for that. I hate that nasty ab shot. Now I have abs. It's just showing those abs is what I lacked. I didn't know how to do it. So of course, the diet is how my abs came out. And so Shelby, really helped me dial. He dialed me in, and I was very conditioned. So, you follow the plan, you follow everything to the T, and you don't deviate. You just do what your coach tells you, and and have faith in what he tells you. And don't. I never question him. So, and then I didn't get stressed or anything. I was always relaxed. I'm relaxed at the show that I did so well at Tampa Pro. So, but it was such a good time. So maybe I'll do it again next year.
She better do it again next year. I mean, one of the most, like I said, one of the most inspiring guests that we've had on this podcast. But yeah, that is just so great. And as we can tell before, I mean, you have added on stuff to your gym. So what have you added on since we last talked 7 months ago? Because it looks like a fully functional gym now.
Yeah, so I added a new squat, for the quads, and it's a leverage squat and calf machine. I added that. I added a new bicep tricep curl. I added a one of those T bars for the back, and what else? Oh, I added hyperextensions, a hyperextension machine. So the next thing we need to add is a leg curl, lying leg curl machine, and the butt blaster. And then I have a bike that it just got delivered like 2 weeks ago, recumbent bike. We haven't had time to put that together. So I might use the one room that has the freezer and make that a cardio room, because I have a treadmill already. I have, and then the bike's coming, and I want to get the step meal. I'm hinting to my husband maybe for Christmas, and so maybe we'll put that in the other room, and then I'll put a TV for that space, and have that as our cardio room, and then because it's starting to get tight in that gym in there, then we have everything that you would need actually to train properly. The only thing that I want to get is those dumbbells for because we have the dumbbells, but this kind where you keep increasing the weights as you go. I don't really like that, but I just priced some yesterday, and God, they run you $2,900, almost 3,000 for from 50 to 100. The weights from 5 to 50, it's about almost 2,000, but from 50 to 100 is about $3,000. Depending on the brand that you get. So I might just have to wait. I check on Craigslist sometimes to see if I can find a good deal, but you can't find anything there.
You might as well just get like a metal bar and just like put like two things of like plastic. They're just fill plastic up with like metal or something like that, and you can do that for like $5 or something like that. But $1,000, good God, that is you might as well just open up your you might as well just name your gym, open it up, and then offer membership basically. Then when you get it all fully upgraded.
Yeah, it's at that point where actually I can, it's like a studio. I can actually train someone in there. Actually have, and I get asked if I train people, and I told them I'm still focused on myself right now. Actually, I trained my husband to go to the NPC Universe. He really came in looking good. He didn't place where I think they should have placed him, but I'm not a judge, and I'm very objective because I'm very hard on him. But even some of the pros I was sitting next to who had people, clients up there on the stage, and when they moved him, it's like, what just happened? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what just happened, but he looked great. So at first I was a little bit nervous, bringing him in because he's a big man, he's 6 foot. So he came on stage, I think at 233 or 235. He was pretty shredded. He looked really good, and a friend of mine who was in the other side of the the auditorium. She said some of the ladies were like, "Well, that's 60. He looked damn good," because he's 60 also. The only thing is his hair is all silver now. You know, but for 60, him walking around, he looked really good. And I was, he goes, "Wow, you brought me in pretty tight." And I said, "Yeah, that was the whole idea." I said, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted. The first place guy was Cyrus. He was just phenomenal. Had X frame. He was only like 195 pounds, and the fuel was up there to 33 to 35. But this guy, the first place winner, Osiris, he was just phenomenal. X frame, everything. So he really deserved to win. But when you, it doesn't matter, and at any show, no matter where you place, you just smile and thank you. Thank everybody for you being there, and for people supporting you and stuff like that. You never, because you really don't know if you're not a judge, you don't really know what you're really looking at, you know. And for me, like I said, I'm very objective, but I wish he would have placed a lot higher than where he placed. But we were happy that he did it. I wanted him to do NPC Universe instead of just because he did a show here in Virginia with the Masters, and he uh, he won the Masters class. And wasn't much competition. I told him if you were going to do a show, you need to go where there's a little bit of a competition. And he said it was his last show. So we'll see. He has a hernia that I told him to fix a couple years back because my husband used to have 10-pack abs at one point. When he used to compete at Southern States and Florida State, 10-pack literally. And so now with the hernia, you can see that when he comes on stage, it's there. And he's just scared to go under the knife because you go under the knife and then you can't train for a while. So he's in that. I don't know if I can do it. I want to go under the knife. But anyway, yeah. So I did train him for that for this show, and I did pretty good. I was nervous. I was nervous because like, man, what if I overcarb him, or I don't give him enough carbs because I want him to look really good on stage. But yeah, people ask me if I train, if I can train them and stuff like that. But I told him right now I'm not in that training mode. I'll be happy to help them around the gym. When I see them and they ask me some tips and stuff like that, or I get some messages sometimes asking me, what they can do and all that, and their diet. And I said, if you really want to go all out and really, really do well, get yourself a really, really good coach who's trained in the diet and supplementation, and who knows what he's doing. And you got to check to see also his clientele, the kind of clients he's brought in. Like with Shelby, I mean, he has a lot of people that earn their pro cards, and then now there are a couple of them are going to the Olympia. I mean, so he knows his stuff. And with Shelby, he doesn't look like talk down on you. So get yourself a good coach if you really want to compete.
Have you and your husband ever thought about doing that couples bodybuilding? We've had a couple of people on there that have done that.
Yeah, they haven't. They don't do that anymore. They used to do it a long time ago. Maybe for when people guest post, they have their they guest post with their other half. But in competitions, they don't have couples. They used to have it a long time ago, and I think that's the most beautiful thing that they should bring back. They should bring that back, and also what I think they should bring back in the Olympia stage is a long time ago, they used to have a lightweight and a heavyweight class. Now it's just, whoever, they don't have weight classes, and I think that me personally, I feel that they should do that. But I think the reasoning behind that is the fact that they have a physique, women's physique now. So a lot of the lighter girls go and compete in the women's physique, and then the bodybuilders, the big girls. But I think they should have that class because, like I myself, the physique girls are beautiful, but I'm I like the bodybuilding um, uh, more than the physique. So I just wish that the powers to be can bring that back the way they had it a long time ago, but 10, 12 years ago. Because the reason I know that is because when I'm doing my cardio, I go and I search all the old shows and stuff, and I saw that they had that, so I don't see why they don't bring that back again.
They should obviously bring it back to ESPN too, and have them on ESPN like they used to back in the old days. I mean, I remember when I was a really young kid and it would give it exposure too. And it's like they're having all these other weird sports on ESPN. It's like you're not going to have bodybuilding on as one of the sports. It's just ridiculous. It's like I don't want to see the cornhole championships where they're tossing those things into a little square and the thing, and you're not going to put bodybuilding on. It's like come on, or they have bowling. It's like come on, guys.
Yeah, I think JQ Public, they don't really accept the sport. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some people that really accept us, and there's some people that just kind of like they roll their eyes. But so it's not accepted that much. It's just and the it doesn't matter where you go. Sometimes, like you said, like I said, some will like how you look, and some will just kind of like, they look at you like, God, she looks awful, or she looks like a man, or and but that's their problem.
Luckily, though, I do think it has been getting better. Though it has been slowly getting better. So I think because I've had guests on that started like like in the 80s and 90s, and they're saying, yeah, it's slowly getting there. But yeah, and I mean, obviously, we can see that you're in off season. And when we talked a little bit before we started recording this, you said that this off season has been a little bit different than your past ones. How has this off season been different?
Yeah, my off season in the past was, I've always tried to stay within um, like a stone throw away of stage. I and then so I don't eat the way I'm eating, so much right now, and so that's what's different about it for me, just the still having a coach to tell me, what to eat and stuff like that. Where before it was just me, I'd eat anything, and then if I know that I need to back down in what I'm eating, I eat crap, not really bad stuff, but still, stuff that I know that I shouldn't be eating when you're trying to grow. But now I'm more focused, I'm eating um, the stuff that makes your muscle grow, clean, and then I get my occasional nachos, you know, here and there. But and I don't eat as much popcorn as I used to, because that was my off season carbs, believe it or not. When I was training myself, so I don't care for rice sometimes, or potatoes. So I would use popcorn. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be my carbs, which is popcorn is okay, because I use the ear poppet, but that's not the kind of carbs that you really need, for your muscles. You need something of substance, you know, rice, potatoes, stuff like that. So that's where it's different. Now I actually have someone who's guiding my diet right now this off season. Not to say that I will compete again next year, but I just want to see how I look. Where to have someone guide me versus me doing it myself. And so it's been working. I think, like I said, I don't stress so much about my. I used to at first. I'm going to be honest. At first, I was stressed about how I was looking, you know. But now I'm just going to go with the flow and follow the coach. And I've seen some of the other girls where they're off season, they get really, really, really big. Um, I, I I don't know if I can get really, really, really big like that, nor do I really want to, because I know that when I'm off shape is when my breathing. I can feel my breathing when I'm lifting weights, and it's very uncomfortable. So um, right now, I think if I gain like a pound, maybe a pound a week, that's okay, versus like 5 pounds, 5 pounds in a day.
I want to know what the hell you're eating if you gain 5 pounds in a day. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
A lot of it I think is liquid, and meat when you start just keep eating crap, is I'm so like I think I've told you before, I'm so glad that I'm not one of those people that love sweets. I like sweets once in a while, but I'm not like I would make them. Because I love to bake. I would make them just to see how they look the on table, the cake tray and the cookie tray and stuff. I like to see how it looks, but I bake it for my family. In fact, I almost made cheesecake for my husband yesterday, but I'm like, no. I was looking at how he was eating right after the show. I'm like, I think he's eating a bit too much. I better for his own good. I better just kind of back off on the cheesecake because Big Boy's been eating quite a bit since we got back from South Carolina, and it's my fault though because like he loves that stuffed meatloaf with cheese in the middle. So I thought my son and the family was coming over for dinner, right? So I made that. Well, guess what? Big boy eats that yesterday, and the following day it was gone. Game over. So I think it's my fault too. How he was eating because I love to make it, just to see the result. But I didn't even touch that meatloaf, believe it or not. I'm not into that. I'm not into meatloaf. I made chili, and it was clean chili, but then I added lamb and ground beef with it, and so I said, "Oh, I'm gonna have that as one of my meals because good fiber, and it's very clean." I tasted it, and then I didn't want to have anything to do. I didn't like it. And then everybody else loved it, but I didn't like it. So I went back to eating my. They were laughing because I went back to eating my. It was chicken breast. It was chicken breast and jasmine rice and a little bit of spinach.
Hey, I had 6 chicken breasts after my cardio session last night, so, hey, I'm all for you on that, but I had a roommate in college who used to make he would mix Starbursts and Skittles, and he would melt them down on a pan, then he would pour them on popcorn kernels before they popped, so then when they popped, they would be, like, all different colors, and they'd taste like Starbursts and Skittles, so he was the ultimate hack when it came to that, so, yeah, you mentioned
I might
popcorn,
try that. That
that's
sounds
just
pretty good.
yeah, it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Now, sometimes they were might have been a little undercooked, or sometimes they wouldn't have melted so much. The Skittles wouldn't have melted so much. So, but there were a few perfect batches where I even told him I was like, "Dude, you should just drop out right now and just start selling these things because you would make a fortune." But yeah, it's a really good idea. But yeah, I mean, it's just so fascinating. All the different styles that you have for your off season, and plus, as you can tell, I put on my 5 to 10, winter pounds already because just with this COVID and just this lockdown that we've been having. But have there been any signs of a lockdown in Virginia where you're at? Because if anyone isn't aware, in Minnesota today, we have our lockdown takes effect at midnight tonight. So in Virginia, how are things going with COVID?
I think we're actually nothing's. The gyms are still open, but my son and daughter-in-law said that they're thinking of locking it down, and so I hope they don't do that, and I hope that we're able to spend Thanksgiving, together and stuff like that, because that's kind of ridiculous not to have people that you love, over for Thanksgiving. And but no, I haven't gone to the stores to see if the toilet tissue is all they're all sold out.
Well, I was going to get ramen noodles yesterday and they were all sold out. So I was like, oh God, people are already getting ready.
Yeah, yeah. So I know I saw the news the other day that some of the shelves on the toiletry products they're out already. So I need to go do my Thanksgiving shopping and at Costco, and then I'll go to the base commissary. So I'll see if they have, if they're smart, if these store owners are smart, what they should do is right away limit it instead of getting it all sold out. They should just limit, start limiting the stuff so that others can are able to come and get some. So they should have learned something. If they're planning on doing their closing, if they're planning on closing it down, they should have learned something from the first close down. So hopefully they've learned from their mistakes, or not mistakes, but they've learned from that.
Sadly, this tragedy has made me lose a lot of my faith in the human race, knowing how we respond to conflicts. Where like if this disease was a lot worse than it actually is, I think we would be, pretty SOL right now based on the way that we've reacted to it. But to make everyone's mouth drool, what does a go-to Thanksgiving dinner look like in the Flores family?
Oh, I make the typical. We fry. I like to fry the turkey because we have an indoor fryer. Fried turkey, ham, prime rib, egg rolls. I make some stuff from the islands. Red rice, um, something we call chicken calaguin, which is chicken breast, and it's really a diet food, but it's so tasty. So I make that, and then I make fruit salad, and then I make all I buy but I buy the desserts though from Costco because sometimes it's just cheaper to buy them than to make them. But yeah, and there's only like 8 of us normally in the but we've got food for like a week, you know. And after we're done, it doesn't even look like we touched anything. But we have the traditional Thanksgiving, and then stuff that I grew up, in the islands, like the egg rolls and stuff. We always have that in red rice, and yeah, the typical mashed potato and stuffing and stuff like that. So it's always I love cooking, cooking that stuff. Yeah, and having the family over. But what about you? What's your Thanksgiving like? Same
Of
thing?
course, I was gonna mention mine. So the thing is, I had two different ones because when I was growing up, when I was a young kid, we would go with my dad's side of the family and have Thanksgiving there. But then after my grandma and grandpa died when I was younger on his side of the family, we moved to my mom's side of the family to have Thanksgiving for them. But so for my dad's side, there are a lot of Norwegians and Germans, so we would have your traditional like turkey, and then we'd have some ham, and then we'd have some of the best potatoes ever. We still have all those up for my mom's one too, and then we had like some these carrots that were like boiled in cinnamon, so they were like these cinnamon carrots. They were like really really good. And then we had some lefse and lutefisk, which are traditional Norwegian stuff to eat. Which I mean, the lefse's all right just because it's just bread really put in like a cinnamon thing, but the lutefisk, is that fish is so bad. Like I tried it a couple times and I was like, okay, this is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. And then um my mom brought it over from her side of the family. Then we'd have jello. And then after, when we moved to my mom's side of the family, my aunt makes these little like biscuits of bread that, I mean, oh my god, I gain at least 10 pounds just that day, just because I have like I used to have like 2 dozen of them before, and I limit myself to like 10 of them there, but they're so small, and they're just, I think I did the measurements, and they're like 80 calories one of them, so I'll have like 10 of them, and I'll be like, okay, I'll just go on the treadmill extra hard tomorrow and burn that off. But yeah, it's interesting. But for us too, I mean, we have a lot of relatives that live like within like 5 miles of us, but we're only going to have one of our uncles over to for Thanksgiving, because we have one person who's they're bringing family up from Kansas, and we don't know like about them. So my parents are like, yeah, we don't feel safe for that, so we're just going to have my one uncle and then my two brothers and me and my mom and dad over for Thanksgiving. So that should be interesting. But yeah, I just hope things by Christmas at least get a little bit better, so then we can actually have like a family thing for Christmas, because that would feel way too weird for me.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, we're not able to have as many people over as we normally would. Um, but just the way it is, like you said, your mom and dad said you don't know where they've been, and so. But in the news, they're crazy because they were saying bring your utensils to bring your own food and bring your own utensils. So I'm like, no way, might as well not even go, just stay home and have your own little Thanksgiving. Um, it's a sad Thanksgiving. It's not the way it used to be, and like even Halloween. So, we bought candies and stuff like that. We only had one Halloweener come to the door, which is kind of that, yeah. So suffice to say, I had a lot of extra candy and and goodies. I told my granddaughters, I said, take that home with you because
We had a lot of snow on the ground still on Halloween. So I mean, my parents are kind of like Nazis like that, where I mean, the last 3 years they have just turned off the lights and haven't even handed out candy. And I was like, God, you are horrible people. Like one year I just did the one where I was holding out the candy, but like even this year I was like, just leave a bowl outside in case people come and just have like the take one. And who knows, there'll be a kid. But like we heard kids outside, but we didn't, see, we didn't have anyone like ring the door or anything like that. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just a whole different world that we're living in. It's just so serene and so surreal.
it's so sad, and I I don't know when we're going to get back to normal. If there's such a thing. And even with this election stuff, it's crazy that we still going fighting over that stuff.
Well, and like, so our governor, when he announced the lockdown 2 nights ago, he said we look for things to return to normal by next March or April. So when the Twins, the baseball team that we have, play, you can go to a Twins game, most likely without a mask and with people, because that's when they think most of the people will be vaccinated, by early March or April, around then. So hopefully it's around then. I mean, I hope by next summer I can at least like go out to a beach and stuff without a mask on, and do all that. So, but yeah, it's who knows the way it's going to be. But most importantly, how have your grandkids been dealing with it? Because the last time we talked, I mean, they were doing the online learning, and it's looks like it's probably going to be maybe a whole nother year of that. How have they been coping with all this?
They've been doing okay. So I think that Virginia right now, unless they change the rules again, they have the option of going back, um, to classes, a couple times during the week. And so um, the younger ones she wanted to stay home, not go to the classes. She'd rather do the online. Now the older one, of course, she's the social. She likes that social interaction. So she's going to be going. I think a couple times during the week. I don't know if they started that yet, but she started. The dance studios are open, so she started back. Back to the dance classes and stuff. But they're still doing a lot of everything online. So but it's it's amazing that they've adjusted. They're adjusting to the online classes.
Well,
But
they
I
better
think
not they better not be having them wear those masks during the dance class because that would be hard enough as it is.
yeah, no, I don't think that they wear masks during the dance classes. Because even in the gym, so I don't know in your gym when it was open, because you said they just closed it, what they let us do is we come in, right, when we sign in. Because I go to, even though we have our own gym, I still go and support a local gym and show face once every couple of weeks just to say hi to people. So you go in, you put your mask on, you swipe, and then in the bathroom you still have to have it on. But when you're out on the floor, you can take it off. And so, but in between, going to the bathroom and stuff, then you put it on, just like in the restaurants, you go in with the mask, and then when you're ready to eat, sit down, and you take it off, and then when you go in the bathroom, you put it back on, and then, and so people have been adjusting to that, and there's still a lot of people that wear the mask in the gym, even when they're lifting weights, but that's hard because I tried that, and I'm like, no way, I can't do that. And so, like the other day, my husband went to go to the gym, and I said, you just go ahead and go by yourself, just see some of our friends there and stuff. But no, I stayed home. I don't like to go and put my mask on, and even like my nails, right? They needed to get done, and so I know I did. I said, forget it. I took the nail clipper. I started cutting it. I can't.
Yeah, it's just I just can't even imagine. So I haven't even been to a gym or any restaurant since this all started. I've just done takeout, and then I have my parents' gym downstairs that I work out at. But for me too, I could never wear a mask just because I don't drink a gallon of water. I drink a lake basically whenever I work out. Like I drink so much water that I would literally just need like a feeding tube, and I have to poke a hole through my mask and have it just connected to me so then I could just literally just suck in water whenever I needed to. But yeah, I just yeah, I even tried, working out at home with a mask on just to see what it would feel like, and I lasted like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is just dumb. So I don't really understand that, but yeah, it's just what we've all been going through. I don't really know what the psychological effects are going to be for all the kids and stuff. So, but I have had some college kids on, and I'm not naming names where they're acting like this doesn't even exist. So it's like, oh my god, like I had kids that were like, oh yeah, we still party like all the week, all the time, or whatever, and go out with friends. So, who knows? Who knows what this is going to be?
It's that's crazy because they're subjecting themselves and everybody else around them to catching that stuff, because I mean, you don't know, like they can look healthy, but you don't know if they have it. That's why when we go to these shows, like we just we went to the universe. You're supposed to have a mask on, right, when you're walking around the hotel, but a lot of them didn't have their mask on. They have it off. And when guys say, "Oh, our immune system, it's okay because we're so healthy and stuff like that," and I'm like, "Wow, but we just the thought of that, sitting next to someone who you don't know." Yeah, so I guess we shall see. When I just hope that they start getting the vaccine out.
Yeah. Well, which I mean, whenever I was about to judge those kids too, I always had to think in the back of my mind, remember when you were 19 or 21, how you thought. And that's one thing that people got to remember. And the fact that a lot of these kids, I don't want to say they're doing it responsibly. We're like, they're talking to us. We're like, we're not going home for Thanksgiving. We're not going home really until winter break. So if we get it now, we just isolate in our dorm rooms. We don't really hang out with like other people of older ages. So if they're just getting it and just passing it to each other and then not spreading it to anyone else, because a lot of them are all online, but I'm not condoning that, but I am saying like it's not like they're just going in like licking doorknobs and stuff like that and going around and like coughing on people and stuff. But yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know what this is gonna be like, especially with all these healthy and fit lifestyles too. And I've had friends that were struggling too. Like I saw, it's funny because I got two text messages the second really after the governor announced that the gyms were closing from friends. One of them saying, "Do you have any extra dumbbells?" And one was like, "Do you have any extra bands?" And I had one extra. He's like, "I had one extra 20-pound dumbbell set," and they're like, "Yeah, I'll get it." So I'll give it to him probably sometime this weekend when they stop by. But yeah, so it's just fascinating how really people are dealing with things. But I mean, as it comes to your bodybuilding journey too, I mean, you're always just looking to evolve and change things up. How do you think this pandemic has maybe changed your thoughts on the sport of bodybuilding? Has it changed it at all?
No, not really. I'm always one to kind of just focus on myself. I don't you don't try to worry about what ifs. That's why told you I like to stay right here in my basement. Um, I don't let it affect me as much. It's those people that maybe come to the door or the delivery man. You don't know if they have any COVID or whatever, but you know, it hasn't really affected my training or anything like that. And like I have the sniffles. Yeah, what is it? COVID? I don't
You
know.
had the sniffles last time we talked, so I was like, Jesus,
It's, I
is
think
she just a long time sniffler then, basically?
yeah, yeah. I think it's allergies or something, and I just never got checked for allergies. But then, how do you know if you have COVID or you just have the regular cold or the flu? Now it seems like everybody just has they say they have COVID.
That's
I
one
had
thing that I found more specific or suspicious than anything else, is that there have been no cases of colds or flus that anyone has ever reported since this happened.
so like a friend of ours just texted us and said she had caught COVID. And we're like, are you sure it's COVID or is it just the flu? Or a cold, you know. We had our every year we have our flu shots and stuff like that. So because of being in the military, that was mandatory. You get your flu shot every year. So we've always been doing it ever since I joined the military. So we've had our flu shots and stuff like that. But then I'm thinking, I was telling my husband, like, okay, how does she know that she had COVID? Maybe she just had the flu or a cold. And how do you know if you have it or not? You have to be tested. So how do you distinguish that? I guess you're not tasting any lack of taste and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I eat pretty good. So if I'm sniffling, I don't cough, and so nothing has changed. So I guess I don't have COVID if I'm sniffling. And then like putting on that mask, I always sniffle every time I have that freaking mask on. I sniffle, and then when it's cold too, you know, I sniffle. So
I put cold and hype in hyphatus for her because that, like I said, unless you've been up here, you don't know real cold. But you had an interesting point, and I was going to ask you this last time, but I forgot. Is being that you are ex-military, how do you think the military is dealing with this right now? Because I always just found that fascinating how no one's really asking that. Because obviously, like if you're in a combat zone and you get COVID, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not just going to say, "Oh well, hey, you can leave now." Being that you are ex-military, how do you think that they're dealing with this outbreak now?
well, I think they're probably just following the whatever the state guidelines are or whatever CDC guidelines are, and I'm pretty sure and I haven't been back to the scene. I haven't really talked to anybody that's been currently in the military right now, so I'm pretty sure that it's probably a lot stricter than you would find at the normal office scenario, or I don't know anything about them being out in the foxhole or stuff like that. So if I know the military, I know they're a lot stricter on how they deal with the situation. And so, um,
They're probably the ones they're probably the ones that are going to get the vaccine first of all, because I think they deserve it more than anyone else. I mean, they're probably already starting to give it to them, but yeah.
yeah, well, I'm thinking, they should give it to the doctors and nurses first and stuff like that, and the people that are the older folks, and if anything, they'll probably give it to the veterans first, the older veterans and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to dwindle that down the military. I know that they have to keep them safe. They have to be vaccinated because they're the ones that are keeping us in times of war, just in case. So I should hope that that they would be top priority since they're the ones that are defending our country, and stuff. So we shall see, but God, I just hope that this is over soon. I don't know when we'll see. I don't know if we'll ever get out of this mask thing.
I mean, I haven't even seen friends in like 2 months now, so it's been dying on me really. I mean, it's just the psychological things I think are going to be way far lasting than anything else. Where like I even went to like a life celebration where there was like 20 people there, but everyone was wearing masks and social distancing, and that still didn't even feel right. Like in my mind, I was like, I shouldn't be here. There shouldn't be this many people. So I want to wonder, even after this all gets solved, if it does, how long it's going to take for people to like look at that or like be in a crowded stadium and say like, oh, this is actually all right now because everything's fine now. I think there'll be some people that has like lifelong changes where they're just become a lot more isolated. But I want to get into the positives now, at least, because I don't want to make this a down and dreary podcast. When it comes to your off season, do you find an increase in strength overall on your lifts and stuff, or is it just you just increase your mass? How's that been going?
I found an increase now that I'm a little bit heavier. So of course, when you're dieted down, it's kind of just getting yourself all toned and cut and stuff like that. But yeah, I've increased. Especially and or mentally, I've told myself to increase more. Still not try to cheat on my reps and stuff. Because that's kind of easy to do. But yeah, I think I'm a lot stronger now. Um, so I'm not taking any kind of supplementation or anything. My vitamins, and I take my Beverly International stuff. Um, but still take my creatine. But no, I feel a lot stronger. My coach has this concoction that he told me to put together to drink prior and intra and then after my workout. So it has carbs in it. It has beta alanine and citrulline and the creatine. So I've been and then um, essential amino acids. So I mix that all up and start drinking it before I go in the gym and stuff. And it gives me a pretty good pump. I had to stop and email him and say, "Hey, this stuff works." So it's like, oh, I'm able to have a little bit of a bump on my shoulder again. But yeah, no, I a little bit. I think I'm just a little bit stronger now. And you just have to focus. Yeah, you really have to push yourself because it's easy to just not, like tell yourself, oh, it's off season, I can back off a little bit and just not go to the gym or not jump on the treadmill when it's you do one of your cardio, one of your cardio days. It's so easy to just kind of like just sit in front of the TV and push Netflix or Amazon, But no, no, it's starting. It's a good off season for me. At first, like I said, I was a little bit kind of in a funk, and I'm sure a lot of your other people you've had on also have probably maybe have felt that when they got into a funk because they're so used to being so conditioned and see all the muscles and see all the veins and stuff like that popping, you know. And now you don't, you only see that like yesterday the shoulders and they're, I started to see a bump. And I have a very good mirror upstairs in my bedroom, and it's a big light right on top, right. And then when I went like that, it was like bowling balls. I was like, oh my god, it's still there. It's still there.
She's still, yeah, she's still,
It, yeah, it's still there.
uh she's still got it. So one of the last few questions that I wanted to ask you that are newer. I mean, you mentioned before that your nutrition now is mainly to build muscle, and as for me, I'm looking to build muscle too. A lot of people are. What specific about your nutrition has changed now when it comes to really eating things that build muscle, and what are those things for you?
Well, that's more carbs because a lot of people are scared of carbs. So more carbs. My protein has kind of been the same since during the competition season. I'm at like 178, 180 grams of protein a day. So like 40 maybe 40 grams per serving for your meals and stuff like that. And then my carbs, and my fats have increased. So we've increased the fats also because when you're competing, you kind of cut all that stuff down. But we've increased that. The macros have increased. So and it's all good eating. Good clean oatmeal, your sweet potato, your jasmine rice. Still eat your vegetables. Vegetables very important. Still eat my. I'm eating more lean meat now because beef before, I would just get it. You know, I'll just get a little piece now. Like maybe 4 ounces and stuff like that, and then I can eat a little bit more salmon. Before I was only getting salmon once a week. So if you eat on that Friday, if you eat take off the beef, take the beef out, you eat the salmon instead. So I'm just eating a little bit more of that. Now I can have Ezekiel bread because I wasn't eating that because my diet consisted before of just for carbs was just sweet potato and rice and oatmeal. So now I can have Ezekiel bread, I can have, white potato, red potato, whatever, and cream of rice. So I can have that. So it's a little bit more flexible and more off it. And believe it or not, for me, I find that I like the leaning down better, the less food better. It works for me better than the bulking up because I find it's so hard for me to eat all that. Um, so pushing that 6 meal because before I was only getting 5 meals when I was dieting down, leaning down for the show. Now I'm getting 6 meals and almost double that the portion. So um, yeah, it's a challenge, but I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it right now. I'm trying to give it my 100%.
That's great. And so I want you to mention this before because I eat oatmeal, and my older brother, who thinks that he's like this big, health and fitness guy because he got his degree in sports performance, and he does all that stuff. He's like, oh, oatmeal is bad for you. So I have to tell him now that I have a guest on here that says that she eats oatmeal too, and it's not bad. That's what I eat too. It's also good for your heart too. That's what I tell him. It's like, why wouldn't you want to eat that? Yeah.
It cuts down your cholesterol also, and, and I really enjoy it. Believe it or not, sometimes if I'll make it savory instead of the sweet because I'm now I add blueberries. I add blueberries and I use the I don't know if you ever use Walden Farm syrup.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It's actually very good in the oatmeal. So I put Walden Farm syrup, a little bit of salt and some cinnamon on there, and there's my breakfast. And or I make it savory and then on the oatmeal and I add garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and salt. And sometimes I put chicken broth and I put it in the microwave. And then what I do is I fry like because I get 1 egg also, fry an egg, right? And then an egg rice inside, and I make it like a bowl. I have this really nice bowl. So I have the oatmeal already there, and then I put my egg whites and then my eggs on top of it. And then I just go in front of the TV, and that's my breakfast. It's very tasty. Some people say it sounds gross, but it's not. If just try that. I think you'll if you like savory, because you get tired of eating the sweet sometimes. Just the oatmeal plain. So you have to switch it up so that you're able to push those meals in. Like at night if I get like wow I have to eat that again. So what I do is I make that cream of rice, right? Whatever. If it's a training day, it'd be 50 grams of cream of rice. So and then I add onion powder and garlic powder on that, and then I add the chicken broth. I chop up my chicken or my beef, my 4 ounces that I'm allowed, and I put it in the microwave, and I come out with soup and it's very creamy soup. And so there's my meal right there, instead of just eating plain old chicken rice or plain old chicken and plain old rice, you I make it so that it's pleasing to the eye. Or I fry my rice, to cook rice. I just saute the onions and the garlic, and then I put the chicken in there. It's already cooked because I always have chicken prepared. There's always cooked chicken in my refrigerator and cooked beef. So I just chop up my 4 ounces of chicken or beef, and then I make fried rice. I just add the spices, and there's my fried rice in a bowl, and it looks very nice. And when it's pleasing to the eye, that you won't mind the taste so much because just imagine eating that kind of food since January. And the beauty about having Shelby as my coach is he never took away my salt. And salt just makes everything taste better. Because before in the past when I was dieting down and they took my salt away for months, I would eat my food without any salt. And I think I've told you that I burned my food just to get the taste. I would burn my chicken and stuff in the microwave just to get the taste because I didn't want to eat. And that's when I went down to the weight of 100. I think I was 104, 103 pounds. Um, that was just, I'll never do that again. That's because I didn't want to eat. I would force myself to eat, whereas now I enjoy my food. You can be very creative and you can still diet and lean down or you can bulk up. Like if I get tired of just eating my oatmeal with the blueberries and stuff like that, I just go and put Pam on my frying pan and mix all that up, and so my oatmeal now becomes a pancake.
No, I mean, that stuff works. And you mentioned chicken breast, so I have to mention my story. I've never mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I was in college, I undercooked chicken breasts and ate it. Got incredibly sick with food poisoning, like almost the sickest I've ever been. So now I almost have to have my chicken burnt. I have it like where it's right before burnt, where it's like dark orange, like very, very dark. I like it crunchy. I just like the taste. I like it like that. So, if I had like after I ran, or I didn't run. I walked 80 minutes on the treadmill and did like 7.5 miles. I literally put in 8 chicken breasts, and they were in there for an hour and a half before they were ready. So I at like 480 degrees. That's how I like them now. And my parents like, oh, you're gonna burn this house down. And I was like, don't worry, I watch them. I check in on them like every half an hour just to make sure that they aren't on fire. But yeah, that's with chicken breast. Yeah, just because of that one bad experience, I was like, okay, I'm never gonna get food poisoning again. So I'm gonna burn every germ that's in there, everything that's in there, so that I'm making sure that. But yeah, and lastly, I wanted to ask you before we wrap things up about you are very into this. I mean, you're very, very dedicated. But one thing that a lot of bodybuilders sometimes struggle with is overtraining, just because you are so into this and you really just want to see those results and you really want to make that change quicker. How do you sort of try to prevent yourself from overtraining? Because especially in coronavirus, I mean, where everyone has so much more free time, and like you said, you're in this bulking phase where you don't want to get that much bigger. I mean, the temptation to just work a little bit harder must be very, very hard to put off.
Yeah, I think I've done this long enough to know when my body's kind of feels like I need to back off. So I stick to this, workout plan where um, I go maybe 4 sets for and uh, maybe 12 to 15 reps per set, and I do 4 sets of for example, I'm doing curls. So yeah, and you couldn't know. Everybody is different, but if you've been in the gym maybe 2 hours and you're still going out, it's time to wrap it up. You can only do so much for your biceps and in that particular day. You kind of for me, like four sets, 3 to 4 sets, maybe like 12 to 15 reps per per set is enough for me. And 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 also if I start feeling a little bit of a like I think I've told you I have 4 screws in my back. I feel it a little bit like there's a twinge and stuff going on. Because even if you're doing biceps, sometimes you feel twinges there. You're doing hams, you feel a twinge there. You need to back off. But I think if you're going over, 2 hours in the gym doing the same old thing, I think that's a little bit overtraining. Overtraining. But hey, you know what? I think some people just do it because they enjoy it. So if you feel that it's working for you, then by all means do it. Everybody is different. Some people can probably just do 2 sets and then they're fine. But you can tell if you've been doing this a while. You can tell, but a little bit of 2 hours is it's a little bit too much.
I had one guy on the podcast who he didn't have any equipment at home during this first lockdown. So literally he did the push up, pull up, and sit up workout where he did like 700 of them a day. He bruised one of his ribs because he was doing too many of them. So I was like, yeah, that might be your little opportunity to tone things down a little bit and not be going so hard. So yeah, it's I mean, and plus, like you said, the longer you're in this sport or the longer you're even in this lifestyle, it becomes so much easier to really grasp that. But a question that I've asked you every single time that you've been on, and I'm going to ask you it again because last time I talked, I always ask, what's it, if we were to talk a year from today, where would you like to be at in your life? But, it was 7 months because you did so good at that last show. But in an ideal world, because who knows where we're going to be a year from now? You might see like a fire behind me and hear gunshots behind me a year from now when we're talking. Who knows what the world's going to be like from a year from today? But in an ideal world, where would you like to be at in, just your overall life if we were to talk to you again a year from today?
Well, actually, like I like to be just in a place where everybody's just out there doing their own thing, having a good time, and just everything open, and we don't have to worry about, shaking somebody's hand and just the way we were maybe last year, and everybody was just, giving each other's hug. I like to be in that place again. I miss that contact with people. Um, but in terms of bodybuilding, I don't know if I'm going to be on stage this time next year. We shall see. I mean, if I'm still enjoying it, I still enjoy it. If the coach says, hey, you can still do another year, I will. But it all depends. I've had injuries that I don't tell people sometimes. Because like the last two shows I had, my wrist was really in pain and to do that lat spread. And I still right. I wear a brace when I go to sleep, and I train around it. So you know, it's painful right here. And I've had the other wrist, same thing, and I forgot the name, the Corbian or something. So it's like a pain right on the right here, and they've given me steroid shots before for it. So I know what it is, and so I hope that this pain will go away so I can train, my 110% that I normally do. When they see me at the gym, they never think that I have some kind of injury in my back, and because I don't, I don't really show it. There's a way you can train and still train around it, but my husband said because we were thinking of doing my last show, I was going to go do the the Chicago Pro, and then that pain was there, and I said I can still do it. He goes, but yeah, it's not 100%. And we just kind of figured it's not a good idea because if you have to train around it, you're not giving it your all. And so we should see where I'm at next year if I'm still, I'm hopefully this some of these elements. I think it's just a sign of getting old. I don't want to admit that. It's not,
Well, I gotta ask, how does Wood train around a back injury? Because a back is one thing where anytime you do anything upper body or anytime you really do anything that involves, using your upper body, it's gonna be, activated. So how do you train around a back injury? Because I think that would be one of the hardest areas to train around.
yeah, and it's funny because you're looking at my bag, it doesn't look like I have one, right? So it's that saying that it's not how much you lift, it's how you look. So I always, make sure I have my weight belt on, and then I'm very, very careful. I'm not a sloppy train. If you ever, see me train, I'm very methodical. I always make sure I'm thinking of my muscles when I'm training, and I'm also thinking of the sex, that back injury. So even when I do the T bars, I go down really strict form. It's always strict form with me. And if I feel that the weight's a little bit too heavy, I'm not ashamed to take the weights off. Just do more reps. So I'm just very strict on my form. And it's funny though, I don't really like. I mean, I feel the twinge sometimes, but you know where I injure myself the most? When I'm mopping. You believe that? You believe? Honest to God. And it's crazy movements like that's where you injure yourself. So I do have someone that comes and cleans the house once a month, but in between I still have to do that, the cleaning myself. But honest to God, when I'm vacuuming or mopping, it hurts, you know? Yeah, see, people laugh at me when I say that, but honest to God, because I guess when you're doing that kind of moving, mopping and sweeping, you're not thinking about your back. But when you're in the gym, you're always thinking about your injury, so you're very careful. Whereas doing the other things like backing him up, you're not careful, you're just pushing it and all that. At the gym, you're careful, careful how you pull down, careful when you squat, careful how much weight you put on there. So, but yeah, you can still train around all that stuff, so there's no excuse.
Like you said, I mean, one of the best back workouts I ever got was when I spilled something on the carpet and then you had to scrape out everything on the carpet and scrub everything out on the carpet. Next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, my back, I can't train back today because I was planning on training back that day. So I actually took a rest day that day. That was like 5 years ago because it was for like a full hour that I was just scrubbing and scrubbing. And I was like, oh my God, my back is just, I'm feeling it more than any other back workout I've ever done. So yeah, it's the little things too.
It's the little things, and it's just the crazy things where you don't expect it. That's when you just move, and you kind of like you twinge a little bit, and it hurts. So, and even when you're sleeping, believe it or not, you hurt your back or your neck when you're sleeping, because you don't know what you're doing. But if you're in the gym, you know exactly what you're doing. You know the movements you're going to make. You know the movements not what not to do. So you're very careful when you're doing that. So and you have to be very methodical, like I said. Just that's how do you avoid injury. I'm not sloppy at all when I train. It's funny because my husband, before he's one of those men like to live very, very heavy, right? So he always had a wide back. And so he started watching me train these past couple of years. You know, his back is white, but there's no muscles, there's no bubbles. I call it bubbles. So now after he's been watching me train, now he actually had, you can see the definitions on his back now. And it's not from lifting a lot of heavy weights. He still lifts heavy, but it's more just a squeeze, you know. Because he also sometimes he has back injuries too. He'll just move a little bit, and then he'll be down on his back for about 3 days. But then men are like that. You guys are babies. You know, you feel a little bit of pain, and you're
Even the toughest guy, as soon as they get the flu or something like that, they are the wimpiest person of all time, and I'll admit that too. Me the same. Yeah, I'll put up that strong guy image, but as soon as I feel a sniffle, or as soon as I start, like hacking up something, I'm all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, you basically have to carry me everywhere. I have to basically be, spoon fed. Basically, yeah. I found that to be very funny too. Yeah, it is ridiculous. But again, Maria, we cannot thank you enough for coming on again and giving us an update and talking to us. And everyone, go and give her a follow on her Instagram page. Do not send her lewd messages, everyone. If you want to send her a message to say, hey, what's up? Give me some tips. But again, you guys, Maria, thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it.
It's always fun to talk to you, Ryan. Happy Thanksgiving, and if I don't talk to you again, Merry Christmas.
Yep. Merry Christmas and have a happy new year for everyone. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.